In this present crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
Do you want the whole truth?
I don't think you're ready.
Governments don't control things. A government can't control the economy without controlling people.
It's Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth. Here comes the truth.
Well, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. We're glad you're here, right here on the AFR Talk Network. I'm Crane Durham. Happy Thursday to you. And we will be joined by Dr. Walid Phares in just a moment, but a lot to cover. Senator Kerry meeting with his counterpart in Geneva today from Russia over the Assad deal. That being, well, we're going to allow them to use or be the verifier of chemical weapons, Syrian chemical weapons, Assad's chemical weapons that were used to kill 1,400, allegedly, by the Syrian regime. Dr. Walid Phares is a Fox News terror analyst. He is also author of the book that predicted the Arab Spring and what became the Islamist winter. That is the coming revolution. Dr. Phares, welcome back. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for having me today.
Absolutely. Sir, the question now is who won? Who are the winners from the current state of affairs? Those being that we are delaying a vote in Congress and that Russia has come in and been the arbiter between the Assad regime and the United States.
Great question, my friend. By order of how important is to win for them, I would place, first of all, the Assad regime. The Assad regime gained tremendous time now. The Assad regime was to receive a wave of limited strikes that would have crippled a lot of its capabilities. They did not receive those missiles, which means that the Assad regime is going to gain time and use that time wisely and brutally to go against their opposition. Number two, obviously, with the Assad regime, their own allies, that will be Hezbollah and Iran. Second, obviously, comes Russia. President Putin and his leadership have gained tremendous support in their own camp, leading, Iran, some influence in Iraq, Hezbollah, Syria, and other players that are critics of the United States. But that will be short-lived. The fact that Putin is winning is not because of his power to maneuver. It's because of the mismaneuver by the United States administration. Had the U.S. been adamant about real steps on the ground, strategic in choosing the moment and choosing the partner to work with, Putin was outside the game. And last, obviously, is the Congress, the group in Congress that did not want to give green light to the president to weaken Assad while strengthening the Muslim Brotherhood in Syria. And obviously, last in this case will be the administration.
So, if you're looking at this, and we know the winners now, and we know the consequences of it, and you're advising the president on how to move forward, where would you go from here?
Look, I have a problem now advising an administration that has not listened to all the scenarios you and I have been playing for the last few years. Because an advice that we're going to advance now, this is on a serious analytical level. Every time you and I discuss a scenario that would save one more time the administration policy and again, and it's going in the very wrong direction. Now we are 3 years into the Arab Spring. Whatever we're going to do now is going to demand an absolute change in foreign policy. We cannot save the policy of the administration as it is right now. We need to change it. But having said that, when we're dealing with Syria, it is very important that the president, the administration, continues with their pressure against the regime in Iran and Hezbollah. But at the same time, and this is where I expect that the administration won't heed my advice, we would have recommended to the administration to link up with the secular, non-jihadi, non-Islamist elements of the opposition. Why? Because if they want to put pressure on Assad on the chemical weapon issue or any other issue, someone else is going to gain. The more Assad is weakened, then there's a space open. What many members of Congress are not maybe saying out loud, some of them are, but their intention not to give endorsement to this strike, it's because they are concerned that we put pressure on Assad and the Islamists would gain. That is something that the public needs to understand. The game is in Washington. It's not about Putin. It's not about Assad. It's about the administration refusing to let go of their Islamist partners in the region. That should change.
The lack of clarity, the support for the Muslim Brotherhood has created a place where Congress is back and saying, hey, look, we don't want this to turn into support for people that desire inevitably to kill us and wipe Israel off the map. Here's the question, though, Dr. Phares. We've been presented with the choice of supporting Al-Qaeda or supporting Iran with the two choices. But there's another choice, as you've been talking about and discussing, in the rebel camp. Is it possible that Congress takes the initiative, and maybe they already have, to identify certain leaders within the Free Syrian Army, bring them over here, have them meet with Congress and the president for that matter, and start to chart a path forward where we see what they never want to say, regime change, Assad stepping out and a new government coming in that is not affiliated with Al-Qaeda?
It is as clear, as simple, but as strong as you just stated. That's in the heart of what we call now the alternative third strategy in Washington. The strategy, the plan that says that we're going to do limited strikes and leave will give the upper hand to the Islamist regime or forces. The plan that Senator McCain has been pushing for, theoretically very, understandable, but practically speaking, arming the rebels without any distinction is going to bring Al-Qaeda. And that really will create this balance of terror and power between the Iranian-backed regime and the jihadists. What we're trying to do now is move with a third option. I've been working on it for many, many months, and now it's in the form of a memo. It's going to be inside Congress and soon to be published in the next 24 hours. And that third option is we choose who our partners are. They're not imposed on us. We don't want to worry about them. So there is an area in Syria. Let's explain it a little bit to your audience. There is an area.
Okay,
in
real
Syria,
quick, Dr. Phares. Dr. Phares, real quick. I want to hear this, but Brent, let's put the break on my call, if you could. Go ahead, Dr. Phares. Just some little housekeeping you got to do. Go ahead.
Very quickly. There is an area in Syria inhabited by Kurds and Christians and Arab seculars. This is where we should begin. We should sponsor them, like Kurdistan in Iraq 10, 20 years ago, and move there from on.
Okay. Now, you know that you are up against the political elements of, in essence, characterizing it one way for political gain. And, excuse me, I shouldn't ascribe that to the people doing this. Maybe misunderstanding, okay? But you're up against that the narrative that every day we hear a different story about the rebels. And every day you either have journalistic work, somebody was fired because they said something about the rebels that turned out not to be true. The rebels, you know how it is. So with this memo, tell me, Dr. Phares, with this memo, there's got to be a communication strategy, and the people advancing it have got to be very clear and also call out the nonsense at times or the misinformation or disinformation, the Assad propaganda machine. Go ahead, sir.
You are absolutely right. That's why we're speaking through programs like yours. This is not just information. This is actually giving consciousness to the American public, what you and I are doing. We're going to explain it so that people who are pirates of ideas, coming either from the Assad machine or from the Muslim Brotherhood machine, are isolated and let our public understand what's happening on the ground. You are absolutely right.
Is part of the fact, and this will, I recognize our time constraints, Dr. Phares, so I don't want to overstep your, believe you me, he is the expert's expert, everybody. He's been writing about this, predicting it, and he's been right all along. And so it's just a pleasure and privilege and honor to have you, as always, my friend. But here is the question. Our reluctance to use military force, have we sent a signal of weakness and the fact that we are unwilling to put boots on the ground again? What is the impact of that, of of stating that, of that posture?
You are absolutely right. And the very short answer is yes. The fact that we have demonstrated to those who are fighting us, actually, that would be Al-Qaeda on the one hand, but also the Iranians, Hezbollah, and their allies in Syria. These are our traditional, foes in the region. We have demonstrated to them that we're not ready to confront them if they aggress us. And in the law of war, that's what happens. They're going to move forward if they see us on retreat, and we are on retreat in their eyes.
Dr. Walid Phares, we look forward to seeing the published memo, and we'll put the link up on the Facebook and the website. Sir, you have, again, you've been gracious with your time, and we appreciate you, and we look forward. We'll see you, I'm sure, on Fox, you being a Fox News contributor this evening at some point. We appreciate you, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Take care. Kareem Durham's Nothing But Truth. That is Dr. Walid Phares. He wrote The Coming Revolution. He wrote it before we saw what was described as the Arab Spring. And then he was the first to say, no, it's turned into the Islamist winter. He sees things for not how he wants them to be or worse than they are, but how they are. And he has been ahead of the game, prophetic. And so what we will do is we will come back and talk about something completely different. Kareem Durham's Nothing But Truth. Duck Dynasty update. AFR Talk.